Amazing snowstorm, or has it stopped by now?
So,
Our road crew may not have to go out. The minutes of the Supervisors meeting of January 7th are in front of us for approval. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
so moved. Second.
All right, moved and seconded. I call the question. All those in favor? Okay. Lisa, in your scratchy voice, would you give us your manager's report, please?
At the February 5th work session, Keystone Collections will be there to discuss earned income tax rules and regulations and answer any questions anybody has. That will start at 6 o'clock. Our recycling and yard waste center is going to begin closing at dark on January 21st. We've had some concerns about the safety down there after dark with it being open, so we will start closing it and then opening it in the morning. I plan to do a year-end financial presentation at the February 18th meeting, and our audit has begun for last year, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, under old business, we were to have a meeting with our council on the right to know lawsuit that's pending, and that's going to be has to be postponed until either the end of this week or early next week. And we will post that in the next week and hopefully the council back together again. New business, we have some fire contracts. These are annual contracts that we make with the Kennett Fire Company and with the Longwood Fire Company. For the Kennett Fire Company, we are going to pay them for fire protection for the sum of $160,000 payable in quarterly installments over this year. In addition, we will pay the fire company an additional contribution of $150,000, which they will be using for capital improvements. Longwood Fire Company has the same kind of contract, except the fire protection for them will be $160,000 per year, payable quarterly, and the township shall pay the fire company an additional contribution of $100,000 for their capital purposes.
These contracts also point out the fire company's jurisdiction in the township.
I move we approve these contracts as presented.
Second.
I'm sorry, wait just a moment.
Second.
All right. Any comment, please?
I had a question, but I don't know. You may already know the answer to this, but does liability and workman's compensation insurance come into play here? The contracts don't require it, or at least state that they don't require it, but that would be a normal business practice, and I was wondering if...
The township pays the workers' comp only for Longwood Fire Company volunteers, not for Kennett.
Would that expose us even to some liability should something go wrong during a fire or other emergency call?
You mean with Kennett?
With Kennett?
No.
Well, Kennett, Bruce Mitchell's here. He could speak. I believe the borough provides theirs.
The borough provides our workman's comp.
Okay.
So that's why we provide. Well, what happens is the township provides the workers' comp for Longwood Fire Company, and then the surrounding townships that are serviced by Longwood Fire each pay a portion based on the percentage that they're covered.
Yeah.
So Kennett Township pays the entire bill, and then we bill the other townships for their portion, and they reimburse us.
Yes. I'm only asking because it wasn't clear from the contract, but
Yeah.
but also liability insurance. I don't know if that's
We don't do any of that.
No liability insurance.
No.
Okay. That was really my key questions about that. Thank you.
We have a motion, and any other further questions? I call the motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Okay, under new business, we have an appointment of Bill McLaughlin to the Business Advisory Committee. Are you sponsoring that one?
I am.
Okay, did you make the motion?
I move that Bill McLaughlin be appointed as one of the 3 members of the Business Advisory Committee.
I will second that. Are there any comments from anyone?
What are his qualifications? We have never heard those. And their committee established
qualifications for the membership.
Okay, Cutter, I'll have to turn that over to you, please.
I wish I knew that question was going to come up. I'd be prepared. I know that Bill has a corporate background of upper management with
Hercules.
Hercules, thank you, and has a very strong background in accounting and business management. He's been actively involved for just about all of 2012, working with Lisa in reviewing business practices for the township. He has a strong working knowledge of the system here and the system in general. His depth of working with QuickBooks, which is the system that is used here, is very good. And so
Well,
I have no question that he would be able to do the job very well.
I don't like to air personnel issues in front of the normal public meeting. And this being that, I'm going to move that we table this motion until next month so we can clarify that if that's okay.
No,
Are you comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
You are?
Yes.
All right, that was you raised the issue, okay. All those in favor of the nomination?
Aye.
Okay. And the next one?
Yes. I would also like to nominate Joe Duffy as a member of the Communications Committee. Joe, who is here and is known.
I don't think we need to go into the qualifications and
I wouldn't do
history
that.
of anybody that was nominated at this time. Okay, is there a second? Hearing no second, the motion dies. Let's go on to the next bit of information here. Questions?
Yes, Richard Gaw, Chester County Press. Has Joe Duffy been properly vetted by all three supervisors in this particular application to this committee?
No.
May I ask why?
The answer to the question would begin to get into personalities, and I don't want to do that. That's not a valid subject for an open public meeting.
Oh, but with due respect, Mr. Chairman, the substance of a discussion would go to personalities, perhaps. I don't know, since we haven't had that discussion. And I think that Mr. Gaw's question was, has that discussion occurred? And if not, why not? Not what was the substance of it.
All right, very good. It has not occurred, and the reason it hasn't occurred is because Mr. Stevens, who is nominating Mr. Duffy, has failed to meet at one time with me, and another time, which was to be tonight, had not been confirmed. So it's still a work in progress.
When you say, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, when you say work in progress, may I ask for a better definition of what that means?
We will, when we have a chance to meet together, either Mr. Stevens and me, and with our third supervisor, that will be the discussion, that will be the vetting process.
Well, the record should be, I feel a need to clarify the record. There have only been 2 times when there was a possibility of meeting. One was immediately after the December, as I recall, December Board of Supervisors meeting, and I was asked to come upstairs at the conclusion of that meeting, and in order to have that discussion, and I said that I had things that I had obligations down here, and I could not get involved in a meeting at that time and on that short notice. That was the first meeting that I did not attend. The second meeting was scheduled for today at 7 o'clock, and I had previously offered several times when I was available, including tonight, and I received back your email last week saying, let's do it at 7 o'clock on Monday night. And I said, fine, and I was here at 7 o'clock. So both meetings that were scheduled, I was available. The fact that it hadn't occurred, I do not assume responsibility for that. And I am available with some reasonable amount of notice, more than 2 minutes or 5 minutes, to be able to have this discussion.
We'll make sure that we get together between now and the next meeting.
It'd be good.
The next on the agenda is...
So, excuse me, Chair Duffy, is the motion tabled then?
It's failed for lack of
Failed.
a second.
Is that a temporary decision? In other words, Mr. Hemaker and Chairman Ailing are reserving the final vote until they have the proper opportunity to review Mr. Duffy's application. Is that correct?
With Mr. Stevens.
With Mr. Stevens?
That's correct.
Thank you.
There's a question, Bill?
Yes, I had a question. Both this gentleman and the previous gentleman you voted for are both core members of an organization called the Kennett Township Oversight Committee, a committee that provides very little information about how it works, who authors documents or articles that are written. Could I ask you, in your review of this applicant, to understand what his role is in the Kennett Township Oversight Committee?
Thank you, that's a good point. We will make sure that that is present. Good. Okay. Any other questions, comments?
I have a couple of, after Bill, I have a couple of items that are new business. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just asking, I want to ask who the other two members of the Business Advisory Committee are and if they have been selected. You have Bill McLaughlin, been approved.
They haven't selected anybody.
There is no one else.
There's no one else that's selected.
Nope. No one else been nominated.
Are you prepared to nominate some people?
Yes,
I
but
asked for
not,
nominations 2 months ago. I haven't heard from anybody.
but not at this moment.
Huh?
We will be glad to entertain any motions that are submitted to
Okay, I thought you had
the manager. Okay?
proposals.
Any other questions?
That was item number 1 of my 3 items of new business.
All right.
Was I wanted to, again, call to the attention of the residents that the Business Advisory Committee has been formed by the approval of the Board of Supervisors. It has a charter, and now it has 1 member. And so for those who have some background in accounting and business, I'd like you to feel free to come forward and volunteer, because the committee could use your help. Number 1. I wanted to go on record as being disappointed that that we are meeting on a national holiday. If this were the 4th of July, I suspect we probably wouldn't be meeting. But I think it would be appropriate to honor the national holiday. Courts are closed. Everything is closed up for the day, and that ought to be applicable to the Board of Supervisors as well. The third thing that I wanted to do, and it might be a little bit out of order, but I'm looking at the agenda, I don't see anything here that allows me to key off for it, but I wanted to congratulate Chief McCarthy and Officer Nault for the strong work that they did, the important work that they did in dealing with a very serious threat to the safety of the township over the weekend, where there was an armed robbery and several people were pistol whipped. There was high-speed chase through the township. There was a lot of stuff happening, and our police force was actively involved in bringing it to a resolution. And I'm not doing a very good job of describing this, but Chief, if you'd like to explain it, I've already broken the ice. Why don't you jump in?
Well, as it started out on Saturday afternoon, thank you. As it started out in New Garden Township on Saturday afternoon, 3 individuals stopped one of the mushroom workers, demanded his money. He said he didn't have any. They whipped out a pistol and they beat him over the head with it. As that was being responded to, there is a joint cooperation between the area police departments. As that was being responded to, a second victim came to our attention over on Rosedale Road at the mushroom houses just east of McFarland. The same thing happened. The 3 arrived there. They got out of the car. They broke a window out of a car. Not sure what that was about yet. And the workers approached them. They, again, whipped out a pistol, demanded money, and beat the victim over the head. They then fled. Because of the area search that was involved, the Kennett Square car saw them at 5 points, chased them on down Old Kennett Road, down 82, out through York Lynn, on to 48, where the state police also picked up the pursuit. Then they went down 48 into the center of the city of Wilmington. Some of you may have saw it on Action News. That was Saturday night. Today we learned that there were 2 additional victims, one in New Garden and one here in Kennett Township. It was quite an afternoon for these individuals, and 1 arrest was made by the Wilmington police in the center of Wilmington. They have so far been charged with felony pursuit, and they will be brought back here and charged with robbery. And we're working on getting the rest of them. But thank you.
Thank you, Chief. That's always good to know that you're on duty.
I wanted to also, following up on what Chief McCarthy said, last week, the many homes in the Kennett Township area had their cars broken into in the evening. I'm particularly familiar with this because some of my cars were a part of that, but I was just one house at the end of a lane where there were a lot of other houses, and there were a lot of other lanes that also were hit. So I wanted to call to the attention of the residents the need to be diligent in the evening when you park your cars. You probably ought to lock them, but you ought to be sensitive to the fact that these problems are going on in the township, and so they deserve to be, we deserve to be diligent. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the agenda, the road work activities. I must admit I have never had such a brief road report to read in my entire history of reading monthly road reports. But this covers basically all of their activities. They've been very busy trimming trees that overhang roads and are a potential problem with icing and trees falling onto the roads. They've been doing some snow plowing for the last few very minor snowfalls. And the bigger news concerning the PICO effort to bury a gas line on Rosedale, that's winding down. It should be done officially by maybe this time or by Thursday of next week. It's going to be a very important thing to the main users of the gas, which are the 2 mushroom facilities up in this area. There are several private homes that have connected to it. Those that are close to the pipeline, as it's very expensive, they must pay the insulation of the lateral from the line to their house, and I believe that cost is close to $100 a foot. That's the number that I've heard. And then there's a tapping fee and a few other extra fees. But it's an important thing in our township, and over time I'm sure that more people will tap into it. And that's the end of the road report. Are there any questions about the road report or the road? Okay. All right.
I apologize, I just realized the camera's not on. It takes time to warm up.
Use this, Lisa, and protect your voice,
Okay.
please.
You can all understand.
I think if you can describe it, where we are, many of the people have seen this
Yeah.
plot layout before.
The first one is the Tague property. It's at Rosedale, McFarland. It used to be Danby Lumber. Tague Lumber bought the property, and they're rehabbing it and turning it into their lumber company.
Can you orient us, please? With
Here is Rosedale.
Okay,
This is McFarland.
fine, thank you.
This is for final
Mhm.
plan approval. As I said, the property is located at McFarland and Rosedale, and it consists of 5 acres in the LI district. It's identified as tax parcels 62-4-79 and 79.2. The final plan consists of 14 pages by Richardson Associates dated 10/2/2012, last revised 12/20/2012. The Planning Commission recommended final approval with conditions at their January 8th meeting. I asked the Board of Supervisors to make a motion to approve the final plans for the Tague lumber property with the following conditions. Obtain an MPDES permit. Receive DEP approval for the planning module exemption, because they are just connecting, that property is connected to public sewer. So they just need to receive sign-off from DEP. The applicant must sign the rules and regulations for site development. The applicant must establish an escrow account for public improvements secured by a letter of credit and a cash escrow account for engineering inspections during construction by final plan signing. And the applicant must pay any outstanding engineering fees by final plan signing.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions from anyone on the floor?
Is it going to be a lumber yard just like it was when it was Danby's? Is that the same
There'll be no
idea?
retail.
If a representative here is from Tague, maybe he could answer the questions.
Yes, we put a couple new buildings on, but.
But you guys will have rail service.
Correct, we plan on having rail service, so that hopefully there'll be less larger trucks on the road, because we're gonna be using the rail service, that's already in existence. But the basic model is the same.
Will there be retail sales?
Well, it's more of a contractor pickup, it's not gonna be like your traditional retail hardware store. It's more, professional hardware.
Okay.
Bruce?
Are you gonna be utilizing all the buildings?
Yes.
And another question is, I noticed you put on McFarland Road, I see you put barricades up. Can you tell me why?
There were some trucks were parking there overnight that we didn't know who they were. Overnight haulers were just using the property. And a couple of people just to keep people off the property.
And Bruce, Tague did agree that that you will be permitted to go in before they open and inspect everything. And
Are you gonna fence the lower part in by the railroad tracks or not?
Yes.
Richard Gott, Chester County Press. 2 quick questions. May I have your name, sir?
Matt Potter.
Matt Potter, Potter.
Correct.
And you're with Tague, I
Correct.
assume? And when is the expected date of opening for this particular?
We're not sure yet.
It's not been determined?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. We need to make a motion on this. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. What's the next one?
the next proposal is called Richardson's Run property. Last month it was before the supervisors. It's the T.I. Kennett Chandler property. It used to be owned by the Chandlers. It's on McFarland Road. The railroad tracks are down here, Rosedale down here. It's right across from Chatham Financial. This property is located on McFarland Road in the BR zoning district, identified as tax parcel numbers 624-129.1, 129.3, 130, 131, and 132, containing 36 acres. The applicant is proposing to create 35 new lots and 1 lot for the farmhouse for a total of 36 acres. 36 lots, sorry. The preliminary plans were recommended for approval by the Planning Commission on January 8th with conditions. I ask that the Board of Supervisors make a motion for approval of the preliminary plans dated July 16, 2012, last revised dated December 6, 2012, containing 34 sheets with the following conditions. Address any outstanding issues in the Township Engineer Review Letter dated January 4, 2013. The Brandywine Conservancy and Landscape Architect must discuss the Landscape Architect Review Letter dated January 2, 2013 to implement in the plan along with maintenance items. The Board of Supervisors by this motion accept the waivers as presented on December 7, 2012, which I distributed. They need to receive DEP approval. The adaptive reuse provisions as presented dated January 8, 2013 be approved and that the Board of Supervisors revise the developer's agreement accordingly. The applicant must sign the rules and regulations for site development. The applicant will contribute $180,000 to the township in lieu of off-site improvements, and the applicant must pay for 36 sewer connection fees prior to final plan signing.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Just had a question out of
You are,
curiosity.
please.
Rich left. Since we talked about the gas main, are they going to be tying into the natural gas? Does anyone know?
I don't know that they are.
They have not said if they are. I don't know if any of the planning commission members, if they've told you that they are not.
There was no discussion about gas utilities, no.
That may be a very expensive tie-in, as they would have to come west from where they're tying in now. I don't know whether the gas line goes under the railroad and under the creek below it, working west, but that might be a problem. But again, it can be done for money.
I can find out, and I can let you know at the next meeting.
Who is the developer?
His name is John Lynch.
Oh, this property, yes.
Yes.
John Lynch.
And his company is called TI Trilogy.
That's where the TI comes from.
Yes.
I know when this development of this property came up several years ago at least, there were some environmental considerations about the property below the hill as
Yes.
you go down toward the stream. Were they addressed with the planning commission?
They were. They had to remediate a lot of that property.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. Hearing none, please question. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
I wanted to bring something up since I see a member of the Falcons Lab community. I just wanted to let you know, Ralph, I have your letter, and I'm going to talk. I've been waiting for a price from Roger on the cost. We had to do some repairs in Falcons Lab on the roads, and they have some concerns about one of the roads, the condition of it. So they've requested that it be repaved. So I asked Roger for the cost of that, and as soon as I find that out, I'll discuss it with the supervisors.
I got complete faith in you.
I just wanted you to know, I didn't forget it.
You haven't let us down yet,
Okay.
as I said last meeting.
Okay.
Two requests for extensions, Burrows Ridge property until March 30th, and the Ham property until May 2nd. I move we approve both extensions.
I'll second that. All in favor? Okay, now we come to the point of public comment, and we would invite anyone to make a comment. Bob.
Thank you. Bob Listerman, on the Communications Committee, that's what this is regarding. I trust you did receive the email with the request for proposal prepared by our technology engineers for the improvements to this room for meetings. I know you've had limited time to look at it, so I'm not surprised it's not on the agenda. I just want to make sure you did receive it. And I received a comment from John Avery, who has been involved with this project from the Planning Commission standpoint, that it could use a little executive summary to make it easier for us lay people, including myself. And so I think we're going to try to incorporate that, but what you have right now is the technical version that would be suitable for distribution to bidders. And this was something that was approved about a month, I think the last meeting or 2 meetings ago, regarding the request for being able to pay our township engineer, technology engineers, to prepare it this way so that we could professionally put it out for bids. They would also be a welcome bidder, but we wanted to make sure that we did a fair bid in our community. So that's why we're at this point now. So this is basically a continuation of that prior approval by the board.
So your plan includes some of the existing stuff? being
Most
located?
definitely. It's both a reuse and an upgrade at the same time. And I do think the executive summary that we detail in our layman's terms as far as what it would do.
Can you remind us how much we're talking about?
I'm sorry?
How much money we're talking about?
Well, that's what the proposal will tell us. When we get it out, we'll get the response from the vendors.
Okay.
We have some ballpark
Yeah,
ideas.
that's what I was asking.
But it depends on what we accept.
Bigger than a red box.
Bigger than a bread box. Well, if I put a big bread box around, it'd be probably somewhere in the mid to high 20s to 50-some thousand.
Depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, because there's some options in there that we may decide not to do based on how it comes back. All we will do is make recommendations to the board, and of course, they're at free liberty to do what you elected them to do, and that's make their choices. But we will find out the information for them so they can make that choice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Yes,
John Schlosser, Pennsylvania HOA.
okay.
Just Lisa, if you could give me a status on what's going on with the development.
Well, I talked to our attorney last week, and they are in the process of us getting the money. So that's a done deal that we're getting the money. I've been waiting for our engineer to finalize the prioritization of the punch list. And he keeps telling me he's almost done. So as soon as he has that done, we're going to ask your board to come in and meet with us so we can go through the list to see what the items will be in priority order. And then the supervisors would go out to bid for the entire project.
Is there a time frame or anything?
Well, we hope to have all this work to begin in the spring.
Thank you.
And the guy is in there plowing
Yes,
that we hired.
we appreciate that.
Yeah, okay. So as soon as I get that punch list, I will set up a meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Any other comments? No?
Yes, this is a question for Chief McCarthy. Chief, do you have any, first of all, congratulations to you and your group on the fine work you did this past weekend. I wanted to know if you have any written paperwork, police blotter, police reports on the incident that occurred this weekend, or where I should probably pursue it if you do not.
No, I don't, and I used to commit one every week, and then nobody picked it up and time didn't permit, but I can return to that.
Great, thank you.
You give me some information on where that comes, okay?
Great, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other, one more, Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Elling, you and Mr. Hamaker and former Supervisor, Mr. Falkall, took cash payments from Kennett Township illegally and improperly over a period of 4 years, amounting to approximately $40,000 for medical insurance premiums covering yourselves and your spouses, all while on Medicare, being Medicare recipients. Do you intend to pay this money back to the township?
That's false.
Yeah, it's an absolute false statement, Joe.
You did not take it?
That's not the point of
Cash
it.
payments?
Nope. You're sandbagging this question in an open public meeting, and if you want to submit the question, please do so, and we will respond accordingly. I'm not going to sit here and dignify your question with answers that I could only partly have at this time because it involves more than just me. Are there any other questions?
Well, let's ask Mr. Hamaker.
I answered it already.
Yeah,
It's false, then.
that's right.
You guys did not receive money.
Joe,
Because, I mean, it was in the minutes that you had approved it. It was a work session. No public was there.
are there any other questions? I move that we adjourn. All those in favor? Aye.
What about the paying bills?
Oh, we will pay the bills, yes. Okay. We don't, we're going to do that. It almost goes without saying, but before we adjourn, we will pay our bills.
Thank you.
All right.
Could I ask Lisa?
You can ask anything to anybody, because the meeting is finished, okay?
Okay, well, I'll ask her
You guys-
formally in writing.
Yeah.
Thank you.